Welcome, SASANS, to this week's episode of SASANS and Dragons. I am Magnus Beasticus, your dungeon master for the evening. Joining me, our heroes on this adventure. To my left, your right, is...
I'm Luna, and I am playing Thunkey Beerbot, a level 7 mountain dwarf druid.
Wait a second, I can't find my character. Here we go. Sorry, I am Enzer, and I am playing Timarius, a level 7 dwarf wild mage.
I am Maximus Dominus. I am playing Hercheck Bane, a level 20 billion Goliath Barbarian. I'm a god.
Otherwise known as level 7.
Mine is 21 billion.
Then I'd be a negative.
Exactly.
I'd be a
barely
baby.
keeping up with
I'm
these
a baby.
guys.
Roll for attack.
You spit in his face. Bah. I am Rummy. I play Valkyr, Invictarii. I am a fallen Aasimar male cleric, level 7 of the death domain. And yes, that is about it.
Is that his new voice?
No.
Yes.
All right. Last time, when we last left our heroes, they had made it to the top of the Belbanus tree, and had attempted to recover the helium sacs that the Belbanus tree produced, when 4 Unagoths descended upon their location after a very long and drawn-out fight that was 3 hours in real time and maybe only about a minute and a half in game time. They came out victorious. Tim encountered a close call with death in that he actually died. And Kunbara threw herself at him in order to heal him with one of her last available abilities, and then an Unagoth chucked her off of the tree. As soon as Kumbara was thrown off of the Belbanus tree by the Unagoth, Penke had produced the Starlight Conqueror for Hercheck. Who knows why? Was it for the grimoire, or was it not? Hercheck, with his newfound blade, flew into the air and engaged in combat with 2 Unagoth, only to be saved by actually Kunbara herself, seeming to be taken over by some divine form, some divine light. And after the damage was done, after the Unagoths had been slain, Kunbara now is passed out, unable to be woken. And the muted swordsman joins as well. All of you are still at the top of the Belbanus tree. 6 sacks have been gathered.
We
Been
gathered them
gathered.
all. We just have one Unagoth that's just staring at us after
Yes.
he's eating his stuff.
There's one more Unagoth across the way on an adjacent Belbanus tree.
But it's
And
busy
he's
eating,
still-
and it's not going to bother us.
It's the blind.
We'll see
Stupid one.
about
Yeah.
that. But
Hmm.
one Unagoth corpse still rests on the tree, whereas the other had fallen to the base of the floating forest. We pick up, licking our wounds at the top of the Belbanus tree. Vul appears as Hercheck is over Kunbara's corpse.
Corpse. She's dead.
Well, I'm sorry.
Knocked out.
Over her unconscious form. And the muted swordsman also gathers around Kunbara. And Vul goes, "Well, that was a close one, wasn't it?"
Not close enough, fool.
Well, I'm still fine, but I want to check on that gray man over there.
Okay, I mean, I can go call the other Unagoth over there.
No, we don't need
If you want to
do
fight
that.
him, you can go ahead.
How are you still able to teleport if you cannot do any more moves, fool?
I'm sorry, you must understand. That was my invisibility lost. I have but one more spell that may be able to aid us tonight.
Inside check.
Okay. Go ahead and
Squinty eyes.
11.
He seems as honest as he's been. Pretty standard honesty coming from
He's lying.
Vool. He is like, you can see he hasn't actually taken any physical damage. Like there's no cuts or scrapes or anything, but his eyes are sunken in a little bit. He looks very worn out. Like as soon as he revealed himself, it was like, oh, whoa, you should probably get some sleep.
I would like to go over to where. Shoot, what is her name? Kumbara is. And as I'm walking over to her, I'm gonna pull my right arm into my wizard sleeve, retract it, say, "I know just the thing for this," and then I'm gonna pull my arm back out with a finger extended, and then put that finger in my mouth, wrap it around a little bit, like mix it up, and then stick it in Kumbara's mouth.
Vool like turns his head away.
Yeah, Thunkey's gonna throw up in
Kinda
her
like
mouth.
Hercheck's
Blue
like
center.
just genuine, like
Yeah.
curious, like, oh, medical.
Cave
He's a
medicine.
Healer.
I've never seen this technique before, and I don't wish to continue seeing this technique.
notes.
Hmm.
Varkir. This will
Take-
bring anybody back.
I have
He
my own
he
ways of bringing
takes the
people
finger
back.
out of her mouth and points at you, and then puts it back in her
Gross.
mouth.
Ah,
Spittle.
I
He's so
just
dirty.
shake my head and look away.
It should have a rather foul stench. I just think like smelling salts, but in
Oh.
her mouth.
I guess that would work.
There is no reaction.
Her body should be
Does she
Fighting.
have 0 hit points? Because that means she's dead. Not
She
dead,
does not have
she's
zero.
unconscious.
She is breathing faintly, but it's even this cave technique of yours, Tim, does not seem to be fruitful.
She must be under a deep spell. This would bring most back.
Good try.
Anybody else?
Good
have anything
try,
else?
Tim.
I'll put this back in my.
You hear
Yeah, sure, put it away. It's too powerful.
as oopsies. As the muted swordsman puts her blade away, and she walks over towards the Belbanus, or not the Belbanus, towards the Unagoth corpse, and starts just like peeling the skin off, and just like grabbing different organs and different pieces of it and putting it into a bag.
What are you doing over there? You with you who doesn't speak, I guess. What to ask?
We need to get Kumbara up, and we need to get out of here as soon as possible.
I want to know.
We
what
do
she's
not know when those
harvesting.
creatures are going to come back below.
I would not recommend moving in this forest in nighttime. The last spell I have would protect us for 8 hours exactly.
What kind of spell is that?
Why? Let's say it'll conceal our location and make it near impenetrable, but within 10 feet. A
Will
10-foot radius.
Will things be able to see us from a distance, say if we made a fire?
I would be able to camouflage it only a little bit,
Small
but
fire.
enough.
Small fire.
Circumvention and navigation are my specialties. Nothing is impregnable. Nothing is infallible. But after this, I'm tucked up.
Fallible. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, Hercheck. And he sits sort of on his legs, and he like puts his hands together and he starts muttering something incomprehensible to you
I was
all.
going to say, we should go to a different tree, but alright, we're already doing this. Let's do it.
I would
I-
honestly say that up here right now
Next to this Unagoth.
is the best place that we can be in.
I still feel like I need to take care of Kumbara. But I have a quick question about a spell, Polymorph.
Mhm.
It says that transformation lasts for the duration or until the target drops to 0 hit points. Does Kumbara have 0 hit points right now?
She does not have 0 hit points.
Aha! There's life in her yet. I would like to cast this spell on Kumbara.
What is it?
Polymorph?
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, it automatically succeeds because she's unconscious.
Sweet. I imagine she's like I'm gonna just say, whippity-doo, and then, polymorphicus. Polymorph her into a little mouse. I'm guessing the mouse is
Okay, how long does polymorph last?
1 hour.
All right.
You.
So it's an unconscious mouse?
It's an unconscious mouse, yes, with red fur.
Mm.
As Kumbara shrinks up in sort of like a mouse fetal position.
I mean, I have this pack with me in this little sack, but would anybody else like to carry Kumbara?
I would.
I could put her in the bag of holding.
Nope.
I can
Nope.
speak with animals.
Pinky could speak with animals. Pinky wouldn't love the company.
I'm just gonna give it to the druid here. There you
And
go.
then put it in a little pouch.
Keep her safe.
Although if she unpolymorphs, won't she rip your bag apart?
That's why I put it in her own separate pouch. A separate little tiny belt pouch.
Rip that
Just
pouch
for
out.
my-
Yeah, that's fine. I don't use it anyways. It's too small for
Pelican
anything.
case. Or a mouse.
So she's gonna die in it.
Oh, God.
Like trip.
Rummy, I would move your mic away from your... It's like directly underneath your nose. Perfect.
Now I won't be able to hear.
Yeah, you should really listen
Maybe
to
a
the
little
full
bit closer.
episode, Rummy. I loved hearing your breathing for 45 minutes.
What's happened?
Vool says, I would follow the example of the black armored woman over there. Do you have any idea how valuable Unagoth parts are in Bresh?
No idea what parts.
And with that, like, you look over and she's the muted swordsman is just like wiping off her armor in her hands, and she just like holds her hands out and a light flares up and just disintegrates all of the blood from it, and the Unagoth is like perfectly stripped already.
What about its like claws?
You can roll a nature check or an investigation check to see if there's anything left.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
There's
Can I
only
do the
one
same?
body.
On the
Ooh.
The other ones
tree there
fell.
is. The other ones like fell to the ground.
I got a natural 20.
A natural 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you definitely see the skeletal structure of it, as most of the skin has been peeled away and even some of the ribs have been peeled. All of the teeth and claws have been taken out, its eyes have been taken out, its ears have been taken out, even its snout has been cut off. But you just pierce through its corpse and you see where the most of the blood is, that the heart is still available.
Perfect.
And you expertly just reach in and take the heart out. Oh, I don't know how a druid would do that. But
Respectfully.
exactly. Yeah.
Can I do the same to another one on the ground?
There's only one. With a
Well, then can I lay in its corpse?
Yeah. So
Okay.
as you see, a minute passes after Vool takes to the ground and starts muttering, and this sort of very cloudy, it's almost like a very thin veil of clouds have formed around him in a perfect half sphere on the top of the Belbanus tree, and you can barely see him inside. The corpse rests just outside of it, and as everybody gathers into the 10-foot radius sort of like safety dome, you just hop right into the Unagoth. Just like lift up its rib cage and just
It's quite
barrel
spacious
right
in here.
inside. Yeah.
Is
They
it a
just-
camp for the night?
See your beard sticking out and your eyes piercing out of
Can I
its
attempt to move around with the Unagoth?
Yeah, like Muppet it
Yeah,
while
like
inside.
make little Unagoth noises that. Ah! ha! Yeah, and like I'm uppeting. I'm like moving his beak.
Can I go
Trying to,
over
like,
there
scare
and
Roll a
people.
be
performance
like a
check.
shh?
Not great. 15.
15. Yeah, you notice that this is a real giant creature, and as you try and, like, you know, lift it up inside, like you put your arms out in a lot of its innards and flesh, and you think that maybe I've gotten into its arms a little bit, and you start like flapping and making weird noises, and everybody outside just hears like, and just like the inside of it is just shaking and shifting a little bit. It's just like its lower intestines just like spills out, and just more blood and innards spill out onto the ground as it's just like shivering now from you. But in your mind, because it's just so consumed inside of the thing, you're imagining like you're standing with the Unagoth and like mimicking with it and giving your comrades a show.
Just gonna
I'm
go.
gonna, you know, like throw it off like a wet towel. Well, that was fun, but I am ready to go now.
We're here.
I would still be outside waiting for the Unagoth skeleton to come free, so then I would want to take its spine.
Its spine.
Yes.
Okay.
And like 6 of its ribs.
There are only 4 left.
I'll take those 4 ribs and its spine.
Okay. Well, roll a nature check.
I will take its shin bone, which is conveniently placed next to the knee bone.
On Unagoths, it really is. It really is
That's-
conveniently
That's
placed next to the knee
a
bone.
4, so I get do I nature
it's
check?
connected
So
to
yeah,
the
so
hip
it's a
bone as
4.
well.
You get a half broken rib.
Can I
and
help?
Bones.
You're so smart.
3
Bah!
and you get a half broken rib and 3 spinal columns.
I just toss them off the side of the
Can-
mountain. I don't need that, so I just toss it off.
Valakir, I mean, I made my way around there. Maybe I could help you grab some.
No, I
Nope.
already broke it and threw it off the edge of the
Oh,
tree,
okay.
so
Well-
it's done. I did, yeah.
The heck with it.
So are we ready for?
I would recommend turning in for the night.
Can I build a small fire?
Yes, it will allow that.
I will build a small.
Shouldn't we get out of this area? Isn't the other Unagoth right
His
there?
protection bubble is right here. I'm not getting out of it.
I would.
I think you missed the part where Boole said that it's not wise to travel at this time on the base of the floating forest, and so he made a protection sphere so that you
What a-
guys could sleep for the
What
night.
about? Shouldn't we just move maybe that Unagoth corpse?
What?
The Unagoth have no pride for their own species.
Oh, that's
It's not as though they'll be traveling overhead and see a corpse and then be like, "Oh, my friend, I must avenge him." No, they're rather primal. If anything, it might fly down to eat its friend. But I'd say you've all successfully stripped it quite well. It's probably unrecognizable at this point.
well, that's good for us.
I'd like to walk into this sphere and cast Guardian of Faith inside there.
And what does that do?
It lasts for 8 hours, and it basically a large spectral guardian appears and hovers for the duration in an unoccupied space of your choice that can be seen within range. The guardian occupies that space and is indistinct except for a gleaming sword and a shield emblazoned with the symbol of your deity. If a hostile creature moves into a space within 10 feet of of the guardian, they must make a dexterity saving throw or take 20 radiant damage. And then he keeps doing that until he reaches 60 damage. And then he disappears. And it
Okay.
lasts for 8 hours, so yeah.
So you have successfully made a guardian for potentially to watch over you during nighttime.
Yeah. It's just emblazoned with a giant, like, void on his shield, basically.
And they stand firm on top of the bubble, watching, ever vigilant throughout the nighttime.
Nice.
What are you all up to?
I just put the cloak over my head and went to sleep.
And Vool also says, in the morning, I should be able to get us out of here very quickly. But I may need to borrow something valuable from you in order to do so. Otherwise, we'll have to travel by foot.
Go on.
I know of a location a little ways outside of Bresh, in a very safe area of the mountains, that I can teleport us to. But it takes quite a sum to be able to make this spell actually work.
What do you typically use to do this spell? Do you do it often?
Of course not. This is my last resort. But this place, quite frankly, makes me uncomfortable. And
Awesome.
your unconscious friends in your druid's pocket. Wait, where is she again?
She's in my little pouch.
Yes, in your druid's pouch. Without her, I'm a little less confident in this venture. But the black armored
You
one.
don't have confidence in us?
Well,
I've just took out like 17 Unagoth.
I think my confidence actually just wavered even more.
Well, I know, like 20. 1,000.
He just lays down and pulls his blanket over him. Good night.
Give him Pinky.
I will give you a mystical creature.
Oh, the rat? No, I don't.
Not a rat.
She's a mouse!
I'm talking about Pinky.
I know.
I'm so very confused right now.
You didn't need to be.
This spell only lasts 8 hours. We should make the most of it.
I will take a hour's
You don't
watch.
need to take watch. It'll last for the guardian up there will last for 8 hours, but he will just yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
you can do
I'm
whatever
going
you
to
want.
sleep
I will,
now.
Yeah.
For a long rest.
Wise.
Same.
Say that's appropriate.
Yeah.
So
Then I will sleep for a long rest.
All of you go to bed?
Yes.
One long
just
rest.
keep an eye on the guardian. He's not.
Keep watch. Don't keep watch. Which
Just
one
know
do
if
you
he
want?
starts moving on his own, that's not me doing it. Good night.
Oh.
And I'm out.
Ominous.
And
Okay.
Since yeah.
It takes a while for you to actually get any sleep as you hear. Oh, actually, if any of you guys are curious what this spell is, you can, whoever knows magic can roll an Arcana check, but otherwise.
Doing it.
doing it. Hercheck.
Put that down,
As I'm
Hercheck.
laying down, I think.
Hercheck knows magic.
What is that?
He's heard of it.
19.
You are vaguely familiar with this spell. It's called Leomund's Tiny Hut. And for 8 hours, it can protect you from pretty much anything on the outside, like no spells or anything can pass through it. You all can see perfectly through the veil, but on the outside, it can be slightly masked in any color of an opaque sort of sheen, if that makes sense. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
As we sleep.
Yeah. Ah.
And
That's
it-
what it was.
And it does take you guys a little while to actually find some rest with the hideous and horrifying noises coming from both below you and ever so often from above you. I would like Hercheck, Varkir, and Thunkey to close your ears and try not to hear anything until I'll make like a hand noise.
We have messenger.
Yeah, I know, but this is not something that can really be conveyed through messenger. Yeah, I would like clench your teeth or something, like make
speak
small
lower.
noises. Make small noises. Okay, Tim. Sleep comes to you a little bit easier than others. But through the blackness, you start to hear this droning hum, this ever-present hum. And the blackness itself starts to shift in front of you and take form into a familiar scene, something you've been through many times. It expands and creates a cave channel in front of you, made almost entirely out of darkened clouds. And this drone, this hum, continues in front of you, almost pulling you forward. And through the clouds, you can see sort of electrical streaks, streak, also going in the direction of the hum. Almost like a contained storm is forming this tunnel. As you continue forward, for what seems like hours, the hum gets louder and louder until you're finally guided to a vast chamber. And in this chamber, an enormous dark tree, hundreds of feet in every direction, spanning, no leaves around it. It's not made out of wood. It's made out of stone, black stone with blue streaking cracks in it, revealing light underneath. And the hum becomes ever present. It's almost unbearable. Shooting through the smoken cave walls, arcing in almost every direction, jolts this orange-yellow light and impacts the trees. And as it impacts, the light in the tree also turns orange-yellow and pulses outwards and explodes all of the rocks out in every direction, revealing this yellow-blue, almost entirely electrical tree of wreathing, stormy tendrils going in every direction. And these tendrils are pushing the smoke out and away. The entire cave gets dissipated and reveals a very calm, clear night sky above you. And you hear, in a semi-familiar voice, "Come here often." And you look and you see the familiar voice coming from Rahum, sitting on one of the lightning tendrilled lightning tendrilled branches. And he says, "You could if you wanted to, you know." "Why wallow in the depths, Timarius, when you're so much more suited to cause chaos in the skies?" And with that, the entire tree electrifies outward and sends all of its lightning tendrils swirling wildly. Rahum himself is laughing, his laugh booming out in every direction, and his beard swirling wildly just like the tree. And you get lifted off your feet uncontrollably by something you don't quite understand, and you get thrust into the air, tumbling head over heel as electric energy starts swirling around you, and this cold, damp, dark cloud starts swirling around you as well as you join a massing storm in the air. And the last thing that you hear as you impact these clouds and get sent swirling through is Rahum's cackling laughter as this buildup of energy and adrenaline in you becomes so much to bear that your senses leave you, and it's almost like your entire perception gets shot outwards, and everything fades to blackness again as you join sleep once more. If you have any questions, I can answer them.
Can I do that again?
No.
There's no sense of like, was I controlling that at all?
No, you were not.
So
You didn't
I've-
feel in control. You felt like,
I'm being pulled.
sort
into
of, you felt like a power was drawing you to it as you were being lifted into the sky. Just like, "Rah!"
Damn it, that was awesome. I gotta wake up, obviously.
We'll put that to a close. You guys can open your ears
Goodness
now.
gracious.
Everybody leave or close your ears again. Hercheck.
I'll leave.
You're up.
I can't get up.
How much of that did you hear?
I heard blackness.
Okay. Blackness surrounds you.
Oh my god, it's the same thing.
Um,
I heard of this before.
the sounds of battle cries and roaring thunder bring you to your senses as harsh raindrops are batting against your skin, the cries of your enemies as you're slicing through them on a barge with connecting barges invading onto your ship, sending waves of enemy towards you. You're cleaving them left and right, and a storm rages around you. An unfamiliar axe in your hand. Lightning surges from the sky, turning opposing flesh into cinders. The next flash of orange-yellow light streaks from the sky and collides with your axe, sending it down onto, sending it crashing into the deck, bisecting the ship. Stern and bow tilting in the air, sending enemies sliding to their watery deaths. The newfound insurmountable weight of your axe pulls you through the center of the ship, breaking wood after wood, sending you deep, streaking down like a comet through the sea, just surrounded by this orange and yellow light. The only thing that stops you is this just inexplicably gentle caress of your hand as you are immediately halted, and just through the light still encasing your blade reveals this form in front of you. It seems like it's bound by thick rope almost to the base of the ocean, and you see it looks like a face pressed through a veil created by the dark depths of the ocean itself. And
How massive is this?
it's pretty large. You look at the hand, and it doesn't look like a physical hand. It also looks like the hand is being made it's like the ocean came together to form this hand, if that makes sense. Just like dense water around your clutches, and the axe still glowing, lighting your face and the face of this entity. And the entity gently smiles at you, and through all of the loud clashing above, it becomes almost muted, and you hear, as one wave crashes, another shall rise. Let the fury be your guide. And as the last word enters your skull, being spoken almost through the avatar that you find yourself in, to Hercheck witnessing this scene, the grip becomes more firm around your fingers, around the base of the axe, and the axe starts to vibrate and shake, and cracks start to splinter through it as this orange and yellow light starts to burst out in every direction until it explodes in every direction, and you are sent swirling to the depths of the sea. Darkness takes you once more, and just the rest of the night is filled with half-conscious sounds of waves, calm waves, crashing against the beaches. Thunkey! Your time is now!
Okay.
You hear heavy breathing. It sounds unfamiliar to you, at least not from the Thunkey that you're used to being. And you hear, on top of that, paws beating on the ground, more than 2. You feel 4 paws of your own, and you hear multiple footsteps behind you, following you along, and you feel the wind cascade through your fur and through feathers lining each of your ears. And you can smell this very stale air as you're running through what now you see to be a very cracked desert. You run through dried rivers and stale mountains. The familiar rapid breaths of your comrades behind you. Unfamiliar, yet warm whispers wash through your mind as you're running through each of these lands, as though they're trying to reach you. But you can't quite comprehend them. You find your way to the tallest mountain, running all the way up until you meet with a sunflower of such an immense size that you've never seen before. As you reach your snout out to sniff it, the sunflower turns to this orange-red flame as it curls back up into a petal and detaches from its stalk and impacts the mountain, sending the mountain crashing down with dust and ash pervading everywhere, filling your entire view. As your view goes to darkness, you can feel just the destruction being wrought around you, and you feel the earth just settle and crumble. And clouding your vision, all you can feel is an intensity unknown to you before, as the sound of destruction and change comes to a very steady halt, leaving you in darkness. The whispers that were reaching you before, you can finally comprehend ever so slightly, and all together they say, "Release me," as though coming from separate entities.
Okay.
And that's it.
Is that my
As you
dream?
descend to darkness, yeah,
Oh.
from that. That's it.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah, see ya. You come to a dream state that you're unfamiliar with. Silence. Completely mute. A lack of sound that you search for in your dreams to comfort you now comes so easily, without trial. You're at the beginning of a cobblestone path that leads hundreds of miles in front of you. Nothing on either side. Where at the end, the world as you know, as well as all other worlds, circle around a planet-sized void. It's almost like they're arching up to provide the perimeter of this void that seems to be sucking everything inside of it. Buildings, mountains, oceans, colors, all being disseminated, broken apart into words and materials that comprise them, sucking in their existence as well as all that parallels in this scene of utter silence and obliteration. The longer this annihilation event continues, the more you understand that your own association with these things that are being erased is also being erased. You watch in silence until you notice the outside perimeter of the void starts to the edges of the infinite blackness form a line of shining orange and yellow light reaching outwards from the void, as though the deep void was now was blocking a shining sun only narrowly larger than its own, or than itself. It's now, when this light pervades, that you notice the dissemination, everything, the sucking into the void has stopped, has ceased, unfinished. Everything in the most literal sense is in a stasis for only a moment before the void surface itself cracks and starts to break and fall apart towards all of the edges of the what was once the void, falls outward in every direction. You can hear now a faint blowing of wind before a shockwave of noise hits you. Like every sound in existence escaped and is now crumbling from the void, just shot towards you. You fall to a knee and cover your ears. You actually look up to see the falling black turning back into words and materials and connecting back with what they once were, collecting to form strange shapes that you begin to recognize again. Memories form of lands and oceans and clouds, sentience-made structures. The known world itself now shifts back into place, curling around from what was once the void. The invading orange and yellow light, now but a sunset, disappearing over the horizon to form a familiar nighttime. The world is whole again. Everybody can now come back in. With that, you all wake up at the same time. All spells returned, feeling
Fireball.
as healthy as you've ever been. You firebolt? You've been watching Tim for too long. Vool is already awake, and you notice first thing the Unagoth on the opposing Belbanus tree is gone, and the light scheme of this vista has changed in that it's gone from very obvious nighttime to you see the silhouette of the sun above you. Still like you're in a ginormous clouded cave, but it's lit by sun on an upper layer above you. And the muted swordsman is also standing at the edge of the Belbanus tree looking down. And Thunkey, what you notice first while coming to is that all the contents of your bag are just spilled on the ground, and Kumbara is laying on top of them, as the polymorph spell only lasted an hour. And and you now no longer have a carrying sack for whatever small
But it
items
was
you
in
had
a
before.
Oh, okay. But not my main pack, just the small pouch.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Am I at least like spooning her?
Yeah, you wake up to the somehow fresh and delightful scent of Kumbara's hair as your your small form is by her shoulders and your legs are just like right around her pelvis area.
Perfect.
And you're just nuzzling your
Yeah.
nose and chin in her neck. What you still notice is in an odd state of unconsciousness.
Oh, she's still unconscious?
Quite so.
That explains why I'm spooning her. Perfect.
Vakia, can you?
No.
And we move on.
Maybe I can. Tim, what do you need? Could you wake up Kumbara? with maybe a healing magic something or other?
She has all her hit points. She's not. She's just passed out in a coma.
I gave you the
teabag
best that
her.
I gave medicine has to offer.
Do you really?
Why, that's disrespect.
The best that medicine has. And Vul at this point goes, your little rodent friend seems to wish to help. And he holds out one of the most beautiful pearls you've ever seen. And he flicks it with his thumb and grabs it out of the air and says, I believe I'm ready to go.
Wait, where did you get that?
Valerian.
Valerian.
Wait,
Valerian?
sorry, I just really wanted to make that connection. But my timing
Patience,
was all off.
Thunkey. He says, it rolled out of your bag while you were sleeping.
What a coincidence. I looked down at my bag. Ha ha, another one popped out. Alright, we're moving on.
He says, I only need a little bit of time to create this teleportation circle. If there's anything else you want to take care of while we're here, I would do so now, because I would really rather not come back.
I
I'm just
line
gonna
up right
lightly-
behind him.
Lightly tap Kumbara's cheek like, Kumbara, 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 until Fool's ready to go.
It's like 3 minutes go by.
You guys. I'm sorry, Vul, but I need to speak with you. It was about last night.
Did you have a crazy dream too?
Huddle up.
Yeah, mine was insane.
I had the craziest dream ever.
I was in a fondue shop.
Actually, yours sounds crazier. What's fondue?
It's like a melted cheese.
Ooh.
We did it all the time in my village. It's spectacular. That's a big word for Hercheck.
Wow. Wow.
I heard it in a magazine.
Well,
In a magazine.
So many things made so little sense right there.
right.
It was
I had a
Wow,
dream too.
yeah.
Rahum reached out to me.
Rahum, the thunder god.
Yes. I think he's calling towards me. And I want to go.
Does he know where you are right now? Does he know what you've just been through?
I think so. I would say so, yes. Anyway, I think I'm going to try to contact him when it's appropriate. Just a heads up.
I don't know if it was Rahum, but something was calling to me too. But it felt more like death.
Was it Nuzzle?
No, it wasn't Nozzle. It was some sort of entity in each land, and I was crossing through multiple lands, but all the lands were dead. They weren't thriving.
What does it mean to you?
I don't know, but I have to save them.
Did you recognize the lands?
No.
What color
But I
were
was
the
in
lands?
like bear form or something.
That sounds cool.
Can you do bear form? Are you a bear?
I can probably transform into a bear.
Bear Grylls.
Who is bear?
A buddy of mine. He drinks
Oh.
his piss a lot.
Whoa!
Wow.
I've heard that's a valuable skill to use in the forest.
Popular in my village.
Also caves.
No caves too. We drink piss.
Upon occasion.
He just like
Starts pissing into his own mouth mid-conversation.
Oh my god.
Only during Druid ceremonies.
What's
It's
up?
got like a Space Jam, like Tim's Secret Stuff, green sports water bottle thing.
Yeah, Space Jam.
Is there any?
I also had a crazy dream. I was on a boat and I was murdering millions
Whoa.
upon millions. And then
That's
I was
concerning.
my axes. Yeah, they're all bunnies or something. And then my axe, it destroyed the boat I was on, and I fell into the ocean, and this large being was in front of me and said some smart words. I don't remember right now, but it was unbelievable.
Should we be worried about you?
Stand up. On standby, Tim. I don't know. I don't. You see me twitching out. You know the drill.
Alright. Well,
Bark here. Seems we all had crazy dreams.
I slept peacefully tonight.
Sounds like a typical Varkir kind of night. Nothing bothers him. Except missing your horse, right?
No, I slept peacefully through the night.
Okay.
We need to get moving.
Let's do it.
Wool, are you ready?
And he's just smiling at you and waving his hand.
Bye,
as
Bull.
The scene around you just slowly starts to dissipate away as like paint falling from a canvas. And he just goes, hold on to your butts.
I hold on to my butt, literally.
Yeah.
And all of the colors start to shift and swirl around you and just splatter away onto what seems like a sphere hundreds of feet wide, revealing a new location to you as you hear the rushing of waterfalls and the jumping of fish and the breeze blow as you are now on top of what a good description that I could give you currently in this day and age is it's almost like Aztec ruins. It reminds you you're on the top of a temple that is pretty reminiscent of Bresh, only now you understand just how much upkeep and maintenance it goes into Bresh's infrastructure and just to keep all of the buildings as they are, because this looks severely more ancient. You're on top of an Aztec temple, picture that. Vines and foliage covering it, and you're in a very lush jungle with a large canopy overhead. Waterfalls are spilling above you into the sort of quarry that you find yourselves in with this ruin in the center of it. It looks to have been abandoned long, long ago, and there's one where there's water surrounding this temple on all sides. It is exiting via one single waterfall, larger than all of the waterfalls spilling into this area. And there's vines coming down off of these ledges and cliffs that are surrounding you, and you can see in the opening around the other waterfall the expanse of the Gragnar Mountains, just hills leading downward and other forests descending down into, you can actually see the small outline of Bresh and some of its buildings and the gardens on top. And Wool goes, this place was raided so long ago it has no more valuables and people just forgot about it. It's rather funny how not really many people understand what a teleportation circle looks like. It's my own secret safety.
Fool, what is this place?
It's one of the old Omengar temples. It's what Bresh is, but it's an ancient species of genasi that used to pervade this area.
What's a genasi?
A genasi, did you see, what would you say, well, how would you describe?
Was ISO a genasi?
ISO, I have no idea who ISO
Iso
is.
was a genasi of the earth type.
Which type of genasis are in control of, or was in control of this land?
Nobody really knows. we can just tell by the now colorless statues that it was in fact Genosians.
Can I just inspect the room, see if I?
It's not a room. You're literally on the very top of a temple.
I would like to do a perception check to check the area.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a d20.
13.
You actually hear the moving of water. You hear like the splashing of water and what sounds like the grinding in a pestle and mortar. Minna's trying to
Why?
escape.
Minna,
I can do it. I can make it. Freedom.
let me out. Oh god, that noise. Can you oh yeah? Now you're just gonna be cute.
Yeah, and you hear it coming from the base of, so the multiple levels. You hear it coming from the bottom level where the water meets the temple. Closer towards the waterfall.
Where is Breshvul? How many
Bresh.
days' journey?
Not days. We can make it there in about 6 hours.
Quite the handy spell.
Is there a reason why you teleported us here and not Bresh?
I suspect you have no idea the rarity of teleportation circles and what goes into their construction.
Nope.
If there was one in
not a clue.
Bresh, I certainly don't know of it.
Why couldn't you have teleported us into the forest?
This is... He like looks up and gestures around like, what would you call this?
I don't want to go back to that place. Snakes who bite my face.
Well, how do we get down off this temple?
You can see it's easily, like, there are mostly broken steps leading
Oh, okay.
down. And by the waterfall, there's like this perch of land that leads around the cliff and downward.
Perfect. I'm just gonna start walking.
Okay.
Should we be on our guard?
I don't suspect so. This place is...
Okay.
He says daytime.
And as you say that and start walking over the edge down, you hear, "You guys!" And it's coming from the bottom of where you heard these noises. Coming from the bottom, it's
Is that dude who ran away from us?
one arm pointing up, with you see like leaves and salves over a nub, and it is an earth genasi pointing up at you,
It is
sort of
the
like
guy who ran away from us.
bare-chested, most of his armor off, just scars
We
around his
chased you.
entire body, and he goes, "What are you doing here? Heard you make it here, you follow me."
I throw an
How'd you
axe
know?
at him.
And that's where we'll leave off for next time.
No!
Hercheck taking his axe and about
hand
to
axe,
throw it.
hand axe.
Hand
Well,
axe,
done.
okay.
I'm not my big. No.
Um,
If I miss.
a wounded leader of the bandits crew that tried to ambush you all, licking his wounds at the base of these ruins. You thought you were safe. Are you really? Find out next time on SASANS and Dragons. As always, SASANS, until fate next brings us together, and never
always
stop playing video games.
And always be sad.
Sad.